Um, okay, so in Hema, there is low-tech paracord for wrapping around the edge, single and double-edged, of blades when broken, a bit like a sax or lang sax from the Dark Age period, or some people call it early Middle Ages. So there is low-tech paracord, not just high-tech, from different periods. There's a low-tech version of almost everything. The other thing is that sparring scenarios and rule sets can be created around experimental WMA, or non-rigid, meaning in the manuals, and interpretation is continuous and depends person to person, and it's individual and semi-infinite. But depending on the plays and the interpretation and the practitioner and the individual, it's totally within the realms of possibility that you can grab a single and double edged, but single's good for this, single edged, and prize it in the grappling systems. This can also be done in Kenjutsu, not just Western historical fencing. Okay, it can be done in both systems, but these things are more fluid, a bit like the naval combat, where you can have a non-mainstream environment, so it doesn't have to be a like a Western style gym with a flat floor and electric lights and plastic everywhere, which can disturb certain people's energy. That is a certain gymnasium or a certain type of dojo that people can train in, but it's not the only one. There are boat replicas, Hema boat replicas, for non-mainstream environments where the ground's unlevel. There are also like battlefields with grass, again, where the weather might be different, so not this very homogeneous environment. Okay, for people with different sensitivities that don't always do well in a mainstream environment. Some people do and some people don't, and that's great that there's an individual difference. Variety is the spice of life. So let's say quickly, in the manuals, the grappling single and double-edged blades, right? You can prize the swords, the messes, the daggers, the sacks, all these things. You can hold the spine and grapple and do joint locks and wrist locks and all these things, as well as in Kenjutsu. You can also have low-tech paracord, so that when the blade's broken, and these are historical techniques, when the blade is broken, you have a sort of low-tech paracord wrapped around the edge, or you can file the edge, or there are different experimental, again, this is experimental WMA, not necessarily mainstream, but it absolutely exists within multiple sources, not just one. So yeah, this is important within the system of, or the subsystems of WMA. Is very important. Historical WMA, Western martial arts, and Hema, right? As well as I say, Japanese fencing and Kenjutsu and all their subsystems. Yeah. So rule sets are needed for no-gi grappling with the single and double-edged blades within historical WMA, and also a sort of, again, experimental rule set is needed for broken blades to make them sort of semi-mainstream, by which I mean accounting for the break rather than the sparring blade that's especially made as a sparring blade breaks. When it breaks, that's the end of it, but you can actually make a rule set or environment where that is accounted for. So those two things is the no-gi grappling and the as well as the no-gi grappling with the swords, the broken blade as an actual martial art, which again exists in the historical source materials. So those two things are important, as well as say broken halberd grip and broken naginata with like a jagged hilt or handle. These are all like historical techniques and moves. They're just not discussed. Adding on to that just quickly and just briefly would be a wakizashi made out of a yari, a spear. So you'd have a straight double-edged short sword wakizashi, akin a little bit to Western historical swords, like an arming sword or an archer's sword, things like this. So that's just on that these systems aren't being practiced, but I think they're quite important, and I don't think it's I don't see it being represented. So it's important that the broken blade system is represented, the no-gi sword grapples are represented. It's also important that flag spears, again within historical WMA, are represented, and they're not being ever represented or discussed. So this vlog, as far as I'm aware, and as far as I'm unaware, I can't talk about that, but as far as I am aware, it's not being ever discussed, flag spears within the historical WMA system. So yeah, broken blades, flag spears, and no gi sword grapples. And there's much other things to talk about. But for now, that's probably it. The next series can be about symbolism within historical WMA, on wine bottles, rampart lion holding a single-edged axe, double-edged axes within Western WMA mythology, Western martial mythology, double labris, the labris ancient Greece, but also double-edged axes in like video games and in folklore and mythology in Western martial, the subconscious mind, say. So yeah, the double-edged axe as well is not ever sparred with in the same way as the flag spear is never sparred with, and the broken blade as a in a safe environment. So these are all things that definitely need looking into because of underrepresentation. So just to reiterate, the next series can be about Hema and WMA symbolism on sort of modern logos, wine bottles, and also the double-edged axe. So that and then other things on symbolism that's everywhere. So that should wrap it up for now. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.